Every morning at 4:12 a.m., Ada's alarm vibrated before it rang. She always woke up before the sound. It wasn't discipline. It was anxiety. By 4:30, she would be tying her hair into a tight bun in the dim yellow light of their one-room apartment in Surulere. Her husband, Tunde, would still be asleep, one arm thrown across his face, breathing heavily like a man who carried the weight of the world. But Ada was the one carrying it. 3 jobs, no complaints, no excuses, because Tunde had lost his job. And according to him, he was trying. At least, that was what he said. But there was something about the way he guarded his phone at night. Something about the strange receipts she once saw in his pocket. Something about the silence between them that felt less like poverty and more like a secret. Ada told herself she was overthinking, until the night she came home early, and everything shifted. The first job started at 6 a.m. Ada cleaned offices on Victoria Island, glass doors, polished desks, the faint scent of expensive perfume lingering in empty boardrooms. She worked quietly, headphones in, listening to soft gospel music to steady her thoughts. By 10 a.m., she was on a bus heading to Ikeja, where she worked part-time at a small bakery. The smell of butter and sugar clung to her clothes. Her hands were often dusted white with flour. At night, she worked remotely, typing product descriptions for an online store. Her eyes would burn, but she refused to slow down. Tunde had been laid off 8 months ago. A company restructuring, he said. He promised it was temporary. He promised a lot of things. At first, he was attentive. He cooked. He cleaned. He talked about job interviews. But slowly, something shifted. He began going out to network. He started locking the bathroom door when he took calls. He flinched once when Ada casually picked up his phone. She noticed. Of course she noticed. But she didn't confront him. She was too tired to fight. One night, while folding laundry, a small white receipt slipped from his jeans pocket. A hotel receipt. Not an expensive one. Just a modest guest house in Yaba. 2 nights. Her hands froze. She stared at it for a long time, listening to the hum of the ceiling fan. When he came out of the bathroom, she slipped the paper back into his pocket. She told herself there must be an explanation. But that night, when he turned away from her in bed, she stayed awake, staring at his back in the darkness. And for the first time, she felt something colder than exhaustion. Ada began noticing patterns. Tunde's networking meetings always happened midweek. He shaved more often, started wearing the blue shirt she bought him on their anniversary, the one he said was too flashy for interviews. His phone was always face down. One evening, Ada returned home earlier than usual. The bakery had closed early due to a power outage. She didn't call ahead. When she pushed the door open quietly, she heard something. Not laughter, not music. A whisper. She stepped inside. The room was empty, but the bathroom door was closed. "Babe?" she called softly. There was a pause. Then, the sound of water running. When Tunde stepped out minutes later, his hair was damp. His eyes avoided hers. "You're back early." "Power cut," she said. He nodded too quickly. She walked past him and glanced at the sink. It was dry. The mirror had no steam. He hadn't been bathing. He had been hiding. That night, Ada didn't sleep at all. Instead, she lay beside him, listening to the subtle vibration of his phone under his pillow at 1:17 a.m. He didn't answer, but he smiled faintly in his sleep. And Ada felt something inside her begin to crack. It happened on a Sunday. Ada was cooking egusi soup, while Tunde sat on the bed, scrolling through his phone. The aroma of palm oil filled the room. The fan squeaked rhythmically above them. Tunde stood suddenly. "I'm stepping out." "On a Sunday?" she asked gently. "Just quick." He left in a rush, forgetting his phone on the bed. Ada stared at it. Her heart pounded so loudly she thought the neighbors might hear it. She told herself not to look. But her hand moved anyway. The screen lit up instantly. No password. A message notification slid down before she could stop herself. "When are you telling her about us? I'm tired of hiding." Ada's stomach dropped. Her fingers trembled as she opened the thread. Photos. Smiling selfies. A woman leaning against Tunda's chest. A baby. A baby. The caption on one of the photos read, "Daddy and his princess." Her knees gave way. She sat on the floor, back against the bed, scrolling through months of messages, plans, money transfers. "I'll send more once Ada gets paid." She doesn't suspect anything. Her name, her money, her sacrifice, funding another life. Tears streamed down her face, but she made no sound. The door creaked open. Tunda stepped inside. He saw the phone in her hand, and for a moment, neither of them spoke. The silence was suffocating. "What is this?" she whispered. And in his eyes, she didn't see guilt. She saw calculation. "She's my daughter." That was the first thing he said. Not an apology. Not denial. Just that. Ada's voice shook. "You said you didn't have any children before me. I didn't know about her until last year." The room felt smaller. He paced as he explained. An old relationship from years ago. The woman had tracked him down after losing her job. The baby was 3. She had nowhere to go, he said. "What was I supposed to do?" "You were supposed to tell your wife," Ada replied quietly. He ran his hands through his hair. "You were already stressed. I didn't want to add to it." "So you added a second family instead?" His silence confirmed more than his words ever could. It wasn't just about the child. It was about the weekends he disappeared. The hotel receipts. The lies layered so carefully over time. "You said you were unemployed," Ada said slowly. "But you've been working." Tunda stopped pacing. He looked at her, and this time, there was fear. The truth came out in fragments. He had found a job 4 months after being laid off. He never told her. He said he needed money to support both responsibilities. He let her keep working 3 jobs because it made things easier. "You were handling it," he said weakly. Ada stared at him like she was seeing a stranger. "You watched me collapse from exhaustion last month." He said nothing. The betrayal wasn't loud. It was quiet, strategic, deliberate. And as she looked at him standing there, this man she once believed was simply struggling, she realized something terrifying. He wasn't drowning. He was using her as a life jacket. And he had no intention of letting go. Ada didn't scream. She didn't throw things. She stood up slowly and walked to the small wardrobe. She packed one bag, not dramatically, just methodically. Tunde watched her, stunned. "Where are you going?" She zipped the bag calmly. "To rest." She walked past him. He reached for her arm. She stepped back. "I carried us," she said softly. "You carried secrets." He tried to speak, but no words came. Outside, the evening air felt cooler than usual. The sounds of traffic on the main road hummed in the distance. Ada didn't know where she was going yet. Maybe her sister's place in Yaba. Maybe nowhere permanent. But for the first time in months, she felt something lighter than exhaustion. Clarity. As she walked toward the bus stop, her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. She hesitated, then opened it. It was the other woman. "I didn't know he was still with you. He told me you left him months ago." Ada stopped walking. The world felt suddenly unsteady. Another lie. Another layer. Her chest tightened. Behind her, she could hear someone calling her name faintly. Tunde. She didn't turn around. The streetlight flickered above her, casting long shadows on the pavement. 3 jobs, 2 lives, 1 truth still unraveling. And as Ada stepped onto the bus, She realized something that frightened her more than the betrayal itself. She didn't know which parts of her marriage had ever been real. The bus doors closed, and Tunda was still standing there when it pulled away. Thank you for listening. What is your view about this story? Let us know in the comment section. Kindly like, comment, and subscribe to our channel.